Genetically modified organisms are foods that are engineered to alter or add to their DNA. These changes are used to increase shelf life, add flavor, or to simply make an abundance of material. The use of modifiers in food can be extremely dangerous due to unknown and potentially harmful ingredients. The consumer needs to be made aware of what is bought and consumed as a right of a citizen and for health precautions. It is vital that genetically modified foods are labeled to ensure safe health. The Food and Drug Administration does not require companies to label genetically engineered foods that are distributed nationwide. The labeling of GMOs should be enforced as a law by the FDA to permit knowledgeable consumer choices, allow for a healthier well-being, and produce a fair competing food market. People in American society are prohibited from making informed decisions on the food bought due to the absence of mandatory labeling. Professors Michelle Grodner and Sarah Long Roth describe food labels in the Nutritional Foundations and Clinical Applications textbook as the best way for the consumers to be made aware of and fit their diet to their nutritional needs. When purchasing groceries for a household, it's important to take into account all possible food allergies. These precautions need to be taken into consideration, especially when involving children as they are still developing and possibly have new food allergies arise because they're at such young of an age. Robert Cummins, the founder of the Organic Consumers Association, stated that humans have never before eaten most of the foreign proteins now being gene spliced into foods. This diagram here explains or demonstrates how scientists gene splice. The original organism right here is kind of cut up and placed into the next organism, and this transfer makes a new inorganic material that they then use to put into our foods and make it different and therefore processed. It is more than likely that food allergies arise in response to the new unknown unnatural ingredients in a day-to-day diet. If labeled, citizens would hold a stronger sense of what was being fed to families and would therefore make better, healthier decisions based on this new knowledge. Writers Gail Jenkins and Gerard Tortora explain in the Anatomy and Physiology from Science to Life textbook that hormones during childhood, that these hormones change. The ingredients in GMOs do not help these varying hormones. They tend to make them even more irregular. There is a possibility that different types of cancers and allergies can be identified with the GMOs. These would be easier and quicker to find if there is mandatory labeling that doctors could connect and link to symptoms. It is also needed, according to Cummins, so that those suffering from food allergies can avoid hazardous genetically engineered foods, and so that public health officials can trace allergens back to their source when GE-induced allergies break out. Mandatory labeling would be used as a preventative of this because people would be aware of what is being put into their bodies. The unknown products put out for the public pose a threat to consumers' health. Along with allergies, genetically engineered foods are connected to different types of health and developmental issues. According to the Mother Earth News Science Reference Center, studies link cancer, stomach inflammation, deterioration of the liver and kidney function, and impaired embryonic development to genetically modified organisms. There's scientific evidence that proves that there are negative health effects that are a result of the consumption of GMOs. With unhealthy foods often comes an unhealthy weight and blood flow. According to Chabner in the Language of Medicine textbook, there are cells and blood vessels that secrete substances. These normally help prevent clotting, but with an unhealthy diet, slow and clot the blood. This is dangerous and a major health hazard that could lead to death. John Massionis, author of the textbook Society of the Basics, shows that the leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. This is followed by cancer, lung disease, and strokes. With scientific evidence, this is one link between the consumption of GMOs and sickness. GM products do not solely affect one age, race, or ethnicity. They do not see demographics and are harmful to many through various ways. According to the author Cummins, many countries such as Canada and the European Union have banned certain genetically modified hormones because they are linked to cancer. An example of this is RBGH. This is a hormone that is scientifically proven to be hazardous to human health, yet the FDA refused to ban it. The hormone RBGH is used for the production of milk. It is injected into cows so they are able to produce an increased amount of milk. Although this hormone allows a great production increase, it is unnatural and not healthy for the human body. GMO labeling is necessary so that people are aware of the health risks involved in consumption of genetically modified foods. Farmers across the United States are also being affected by genetically modified organisms. Maurice Williams, Executive Director of the World Food Council, stated that working farmers are facing rising costs and dangers to their land as they are pushed into using modified seeds, pesticides, and fertilizers from agribusiness monopolies. GMOs are causing farmers to have less and less of a choice between organic and manipulated farming. The financial factor in the agriculture industry is the basis of a lot of decisions, including the use of GMOs. According to Henry Miller, the Robert Wesson Fellow in Scientific Philosophy and Public Policy at the Hoover Institution, food companies such as Monsanto are driven by the theory that GMOs are necessary to keep up with the global population. Although not essential and not the only reason, this pushes many big companies to take action to make farmers use GMOs. Contrary to the fact that the use of modified seeds and organisms are less expensive overall to produce, the damage done to the health and the future economy presents itself as a bad, unreliable investment. GMOs pose a threat to American society. They are scientifically proven to be hazardous to the human body during developing stages marked at conception throughout the lifetime. Many other countries, such as various European nations, have reached the realization based upon science and research that GMOs contain various negative effects that outweigh the positive. This has driven them, unlike the U.S.'s FDA, to ban the distribution of GMOs. These genetically engineered foods should be labeled due to health issues caused by consumption, the country being strained economically, and the unfair environment for other market farmers.